Hello, this is a warning. Coming up next is a very dull, tedious and boring workshop on color management in photography, but it is necessary. I believe it's important and it's a good lesson in managing your space, managing your workflow and managing your colors to get better results in photography. If you don't enjoy this, you might be able to enjoy one of the other videos on our website where we take amazing, crazy pictures, but I hope you can find something useful in this. Let's take you to the video. Enjoy. Zoe, has this workshop, although quite boring, been quite educational as well?
It's definitely been educational.
Did we just say then, not only is it, you did just call it boring, right? How do we make color management not boring, and why is it important in your portrait photography? Let's find out. Why do you think that, say hello to Zoe, everyone. Do we know why colour management is so important?
I do, but I feel like it's better when you explain it.
Have you ever had that where you've seen a photo of yourself gone, oh, that wasn't the colour that thing was?
Yeah.
That has happened to you?
Yeah.
Good. Then this is how we can manage those colours, and this is how we're going to do it professionally with a very boring workshop on colour management. Hello, my name's James. Welcome to the boring workshop on colour management. Your images will go through a process from the back of the camera and the lights that's coming out of here and the temperature of the light in this fluorescent tube through the temperature of the modifier here, because although this looks white, there will be certain tonalities through this and certain tonalities of the silver on the inside that are going to bounce light coming out of here and back through and on to Zoe here and reflecting that light off of Zoe's skin into the camera through the lens, which then gives us our end digital file. But how do we know that the colours are the same from what we saw in the environment here to what we see as the final result and the final digital file? How can we manage those colours? Colour management. We use one of these, and it's a ColorChecker Passport, and I use it to create profiles in Studio to make sure not only am I getting true colour, but I'm maximising the colour range by creating profiles based on the environment that I'm shooting in today. And the environment I'm shooting in today is a flash studio environment. We're using strobes. So I'm using this Elinchrom 3 on the big Octabox, shooting at f8. This has all been metered out, but a couple of little white panels either side to bounce in a little bit of light in. And when we open up our ColorChecker Passport, we can see that there are all sorts of colors and tones and gray cards, landscape features, and all these kinds of features in this card here. But I just like to use it at the start of my session once I've metered everything out. I'm going to ask Zoe to hold it here and push it nice and close to her face, or nice and close to the cheek here. There you go. She's done this a billion times. Push it forward so it's not too, there we go. So we're not getting any shadow on it from the light coming across from the side of the face here down. And I'm going to go super close in here, and we're just going to take our first image here, which is going to be of the ColorChecker fully in frame. There. And there we go. We have one ColorChecker Passport, nice and big in the frame, shot on RAW. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the Lightroom software. Come around here, actually, you can come and have a look at this. We're going to click File, we're going to click Export with Preset, and then down here on my X-Rite presets that have been previously downloaded is ColorChecker Camera Calibration, and we're going to call that Zoe 1, and we're going to save that. Lightroom up here now says it's processing profile. Can you get a shot of that? It's saying processing profile just up here. You'll see that little bar there is going to work its way through and create a whole new profile. And then what we'll do is we'll compare before and after shots. While that's working through, we're just going to shoot a couple of shots here of Zoe as she's examining this.
Just pick my favorite colour.
Which is your favourite colour on that?
Probably the purple.
Purple, that sort of lilac-y purple. That's Zoe's favourite colour. So we're just going to take a couple of shots here with Zoe, and we've placed this flower on the backdrop with a magnet. It's very, very clever that the way we've done that, so we can position it anywhere that we want. But we want to do that so we've got pinks and oranges and greens and all the colour in the dress here, so that we can showcase how this calibration has changed. Lovely pose there, Zoe. 3. Bring this loose hand down here, just underneath there for me, just like that. There. 3, 2, 1, go. Beautiful. Lovely. There. 3. Chin up just a little bit, 2 and 1, go. There we go. So during the course of me shooting those profile images there of Zoe, the profile of the color checker has been processed. We need to quit Lightroom and we need to open it back up again, and we will see that the profile will appear in the tab on the right hand side here. Yeah, under my developed profile. So now I've got a new profile there called Zoe 1. Now I can add Zoe 1 to my favorites so that I can get quick access to it by clicking the little star up here. There's a little star up there that says add to my favorites. So I'm just going to do that now. Okay, so we're actually just going to showcase to you now how those two color profiles have affected the picture. So this is the standard first picture, Zoe.
Okay.
We need a reaction on Zoe. Okay, so that's it there with the standard Adobe color profile. I want you to watch the greens here and the flower here, particularly as to what happens when we click on your new profile here. 3, 2, 1, go. Quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's how much detail, if we go back to the previous one, that's how much color detail is lost just by shooting standard Adobe color profile. And by using the color checker, we not only get a broader color range, but we get deeper, richer colors as well.
It's like giving it a glow.
A glow to the skin as well. So there's a subtle glow to the skin as well. Plus you get the real colors of the background and you're not losing any detail. The main benefit of using a color checker passport in photography is the ability to get accurate and consistent colors and true to life skin tones. So no more sort of blue or yellow or green skin tones. By using the passport, all of your colors will be assimilated correctly so that you can have faith and trust in the product that you're putting out. It's not just restricted to portrait photography. Landscape photographers and product photographers can use this as well. It also helps you do faster and easier editing by applying the profile to all of your images and reducing the time that you spend fixing your white balance and color in post-processing. And getting that perfect white balance with the natural grey card as part of the color checker passport is really, really key in maintaining that consistency in all of your work. So I use it all the time, not only to get standardized colors, but also to get the maximum out of all of the colors in my shoots, particularly when I'm using colorful backgrounds, colorful props, and colorful fashion and dress wear. Now, if you can color check and use this in collaboration with software on your computer that calibrates your screen as well, it means that everything is singing and dancing, especially when you then take that element, especially when you take that digital element from the screen to the printer and match it with paper profiling within printers. It means that what you're seeing on the day gets seen as it should be seen on the monitor and then gets seen as it should be seen in the print. And if you're sending digital files out to people, you know that you're sending them out the correct colors before they go online and just add all manner of Instagram and TikTok filters to it to completely compress it and ruin it.
Improve it.
And shred it to pieces. But I want to preserve color and I want to make sure that the colors I'm getting are true before we adjust our sliders and start adding warmth or coolness or tints or all those sorts of things there to produce the colors that we like to produce as artists. I like to make sure that I start in a place where I'm getting the correct colors first. Zoe, has this workshop, although quite boring, been quite educational as well?
It's definitely been educational.
It's definitely been educational. Where can people find us online?
Where can we find us?
Oh God, it's just like not only. Did we just say then? Not only is it you did just call it boring, right?
You called it boring.
No, but then Zoe agreed with me.
I just said education. It's definitely been educational.
Okay, it's definitely been educational, but but we're not unconfirming that it's also, we're not denying that it's also boring as well. So if you made it to the end of this video, well done, congratulations. I think this sort of stuff's important, frankly.
There you go. It's educational.
There you go.
What's boring to some is not boring to us.
There you go. Fantastic. Where can people find us online, Zoe?
Everywhere.
I
don't understand. They're on YouTube watching this, so they can find us on YouTube. They can find us on Instagram. Can I find us anywhere else?
Nah, probably not. NoFussMust.com. You can download your free posing guide in our 1, 2, and 3 light workshop, where it won't be quite as boring as this. We'll actually have interactive things and elements that you can have quizzes on, and tips that you can use in studio to elevate your photography, particularly if you've just bought your first strobe light. Thank you very much. Say nice things, be kind, and as ever, all the very best.